because I don't like the glare that's on my forehead.
No?
Hey, look at that.
Well, but for the people who are listening, Eric is showing me his glare on his forehead.
Oh, are you already online? Are you already
We
on?
are online. We are live and ready to go.
I guess I missed the intro.
You did. Well, you won't see it. Every time I run it, you just have to wait for me to say something. And then we're live. It's pretty funny. I mean, a lot of people just thought of like, what the heck?
Right? Like, oh, sorry, I didn't know you were rolling.
No, I was rolling. Because I think I have enough time. So, the movie we're doing today is Hot Tub Time Machine. Now, the reason we're doing that is because me and Shane has done Back to the Future, and I thought it would be interesting, right? If I also get like Eric's take on Back to the Future, but then we found something I don't want to say better, but almost as the same. I don't know if I'm degrading Back to the Future by saying that Hot Tub Time Machine is just like Back to the Future. In my mind, I feel like this is a time travel movie that's made for people who are not smart enough to understand why Back to the Future have a lot of plot holes or is a dumb mistake.
Right. Now, and if you think about the time traveling aspect of Hot Tub Time Machine, they did a pretty good job with the time traveling and consistencies, and or Back to the Future has some holes.
Oh, when you say consistency, I thought that's when we fell apart.
You
I
thought
don't
what?
think this is I don't think this is consistent at all with Hot Tub Time Machine.
Oh yeah,
Because they when I say simple, right? What they did for this movie is that like, hey, they did mention that time is not linear. We just see it that way. So what I didn't like and what I didn't like in Back to the Future was that when that kid he disappears because his dad didn't finish, right? And I didn't like that because that's not how time travel is supposed to work.
right,
Because if you think about it, he's destined to whatever. I don't like things disappearing out of the timeline. That's
right,
why I didn't like Michael J. Fox Marty's hand disappearing and that kid, I can't remember his name now, him disappearing into nothingness until his dad finished too. I mean, like, it's good and okay for comedy's sake, but then this follows the exact rule of Back to the Future.
yeah, I can see that, but there's a lot of different opinions when it comes to the time travel deal. It's like you and I have talked about this on countless amount of times
Yep,
about the grandfather paradox. Could I go back in time and kill my grandfather?
you
Because if
can.
I did, then I wouldn't exist to go back in time to kill my grandfather.
No,
So
yeah, I don't
that,
believe that. You're right. Yep.
but you know, it's one of those things that a death would be a death. We'll never know the answer to that
No,
unless you all of a sudden invent your own time machine.
yeah, I mean, like that's true, but then I don't think things disappear because what happens is like you and I talked about before, but now we're doing this recorded so we can go back and argue with our past selves from the future at a later time. But you're right, they will never prove it. I just seems to think that if you go back in time, right, like this movie states that they cannot change anything. So a lot of people's opinion, like including my own, once you go back in time, like in this case the 80s, right, you already changed something. Like because
Right,
that timeline where you came from does not have you existed, right? But what they did is they did the X-Men thing, like kind of like Wolverine. You saw Days of the Future Past, right?
right,
They went
hmm
back into their younger bodies. But then I,
right,
I love the fact that they just sidestep like, well, he didn't exist. Oh, but he's okay to be here.
right. They yeah. He just wanted to go with them.
Yeah, just like it works, but okay, whatever.
Right. No, I mean, there are inconsistencies in
Yeah.
every single time travel movie
Oh
that's
yeah.
out there right now. But I mean, it's all a matter of opinion. It's like your opinion of time travel could be different from mine because, like I
Yeah.
said, you and me and Shane and all of us have had talks about this stuff, and all three of us have difference of opinions
Yeah.
when it comes to it, and none of us are right and none of us are
No, we
wrong.
can't be. Yeah. Exactly.
But no, the main things that I liked about this movie, the comedy parts, are all the references that they made to all the other movies, all they talked about the Terminator, they talked about Back to the Future, they talked about all these other movies, and you're just sitting there going, "Holy cow!" So those are the funny parts when you start
Oh
really
yeah, I
tuning in.
did too. I didn't like the physical part, like where he lost that bet. There's one thing I really liked was the squirrel.
Yes,
because like he thought he knew everything, right? Because one of the things that I would do if I go back in time is like, hey, I remember some of these like football games, basketball games. I remember exactly what happened, right? Those would be good best to make. And you know what else I love? I love the freaking cameos. Crispin
Yes.
Glover was in this. I was like, oh
Yep.
my goodness. Because he
Yep.
was in Back to the Future. You know, when
Hmm.
they did this movie, they want to kind of mirror Back into the Future. Like,
Oh
in
yeah.
my opinion, they did that a little bit. And then
Right.
they have Johnny from the Karate Kid.
Right.
That was
Hey,
brilliant.
well, did you know the okay? They mentioned the Karate Kid 3.
Yep.
Did you know that the woman that is with Johnny or William Zabka that's standing there is actually his wife that is played by I forgot what her name is, but she's playing the wife on Cobra Kai.
No.
Yes, that's the same woman.
I started watching Cobra Kai, but I don't think I started. I watched the first season. It was great.
Oh yeah,
Like I like how like when shows that they didn't know where they're going, right? If they didn't have a season 2, so they end it in a way where like, hey, if we don't come back, it's okay.
right.
And then like I haven't finished watching season 2, but have you watched Cobra
Oh
Kai?
yeah,
Oh yeah,
every one of
it's
them.
oh really?
Yep,
Oh, I love Cobra Kai.
yep,
I thought it was so great.
yep. It's actually it's starting to put it in better words, it's starting to peter off.
Ah,
But there's only so much you can do, and
yeah.
these kids are getting older and all that kind of stuff. It'd be like making another Karate Kid and putting Ralph Macchio in there and being like, "Yeah, you're him."
It's like 70.
Right.
But
Yeah, but
yeah.
yeah, when I watched it, I was sitting there and I was like, that woman looks so familiar, and I couldn't place her, and I was like,
So you looked her up.
yeah,
Excellent.
she's playing his wife in Cobra Kai. I like it when they do stuff like that.
Oh, I love that then when they do stuff like that too. I had no idea.
It's
They
her name is Doria Baird.
Doria Bear. You know what? They don't have it on Wiki. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
William Seppa. Yeah, I kept Sepka.
Dabka. Yeah,
I just always want to call him Johnny.
yeah. He's always gonna be Johnny.
It's always gonna be Johnny.
Hmm.
There's not like another famous Johnny in the movie cinematic universe ever. But like, hey, this is John. Well, except
Of
I
course,
guess
Johnny number five.
Yep. Which me and Shane did recently. Short Circuit. It's just
Well, have
Johnny
you ever
number
seen
5.
what movie was it? Better Off Dead with John Cusack?
Oh no, I have not.
Dude, it had been a long time, but when I watched this and I read some of these things as well, they paid some tribute to that movie as well because the guy that skis past, he's
Yeah.
got that big brick cell phone.
Yeah.
He skis past him. He's like, "Guess where I am? I'm on a mountain." Oh yeah, a bet's a bet. I want my $2. And that was in Better Off Dead. The paper boy is knocking on his door, and then it becomes like this nightmare for John Cusack. The paper boy,
Really?
I want my $2, and then it made me think of your snapshot story that you did.
Oh my I want my $2.
$2. They
Oh,
did a
that's a
lot of
long
funny stuff.
time ago. They did. I
Oh
guess
man,
they too because also like when you mentioned John Cusack, right? I don't think I ever seen in a comedy like this. It's kind of like
Gentlemen, I
Tom
come.
Cruise in like
Yeah,
Tropic Thunder,
yeah,
because he's always like in rom-coms or like serious or in action movies, right? Like that's all I know John Cusack from, like in the '80s. But like
right.
for a comedy like this, I thought he was a little bit out of place, but then it works for
Hmm.
this movie.
Oh yeah, he's actually a pretty funny. He's a good actor. I mean,
Oh,
he's
he is.
always been
Oh
a good
yeah,
actor.
John Cusack's a
And,
good actor. Yeah.
and a lot of the actors that were in the movie, they're kind of like you don't want to call them B actors. I mean, they do a good job,
Yeah.
but they're not like John Cusack had the main one, and then the Craig Robinson, the black guy.
Yeah. Nick
I
Weber.
liked him.
Oh, I like him
Was it-
always too.
Yes, I liked him in Zack and Miri Make a Porno. When
Oh
he's
yes.
the coffee barista guy. I was laughing so hard when that guy walks up. He goes,
Well, I always like
"Can I
him in
get
The Office too. Like he's in The Office.
I never watched I watched
Yeah.
a few offices, but when that guy walks up to him in the coffee shop in Zack and Miri, and he goes, "I want a coffee, black." Hold on a second, white. That movie was funny.
You
I
know what?
liked
He's in a lot of movies too. I mean,
Yeah.
like I seen a lot of them with him in it, but I think I like this one the best. Hot
Yeah.
Tub Time Machine. Even though it didn't make sense, like they do the joke where like it's that Russian drink that got them in trouble in the first place.
Right.
I did like that. Like, they go to the hotel, right? Like it looks like crap, and then the next day, hey, something looks different here, but they didn't care about all that. They went skiing and did that thing, and they didn't know until they went back to the shop, right? Or I guess the cafeteria, where everybody gathers. Then they start to realize like, huh, something's a bit off here. Well, you didn't notice
Right.
that when you woke up in the morning?
And you know that the Craig Robinson guy, he actually was the one who came up with the joke, and he grabbed that person. He goes, "What color is Michael Jackson?"
I remember seeing that in the trailer.
Yeah, that was the part of the trailer they were like, that was really a funny line.
That was a funny line because it's
Hmm.
it's like the time period. Like, yeah, you know exactly what time you are because according to Michael Jackson.
Right. Let you know what year you're in.
Yes. Oh,
Uh,
there's something that me and Shane does, right? When I noticed that Sebastian Stan was in the movie because he plays the Winter Soldier, Bucky,
right,
and from then on, I'm just gonna call him Bucky. Oh, Bucky's in this movie.
right. I know when I watched it the second time, and I said that guy looks so familiar, and I
Oh,
couldn't place him because
yeah,
I'm used to the darker hair, and
yeah,
he's more buff,
and he's like
and
redheaded in this one, kind of.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he plays a douchebag is what they
yes, he
call him.
does.
And then the younger kid in the movie, he actually is the one who goes, "Isn't that the bad guy from Karate Kid 3?"
Yes, a lot. Like I don't know if I like this or whatever, but I do like all the cameos, like we said before, Karate Kid 3,
Mhm.
and I like having Bucky there. Obviously, Crispin Glover was in this movie. That was a big deal for me when he was in
Yes.
this. I
Yeah.
like that he was the guy that lost his arm, and like that joke keep getting old a little bit. Like, oh, this is how you're gonna lose it. This is how you're gonna
Right.
lose it, right? Like, I get tired of that a little bit, but I still enjoy the fact that he was in this movie. And the problem that he didn't like after the Back to the Future, the first one, right? He wasn't in any of the sequels or whatever because he had a
Right.
problem with. He didn't think that money should be the reward from Back to the Future 3, and this is exactly what happened to this movie.
Yeah.
Everybody got financially rewarded, right, from the time
Mhm.
travel deal. But let me ask you this: would you have like the way that you believe in time travel? Let's get that out of the way. So you believe this is how it should happen, right? Like you don't believe that if you go back to kill your grandfather, you would not be able to do that because you won't exist if you've done that.
But that's where it's kind of hard to tell because once if I went back in time
Mm-hmm.
and I was standing in front of my grandfather with a gun
Mm-hmm.
and I pulled and squeezed the trigger, that's not going to stop him from being killed. You
That's
know what I'm
not gonna
saying?
find me kill. Okay.
So if you believe in disappearing things, I would pull the trigger and I should instantly disappear
Is that what you
because
believe though?
it honestly it makes sense, but would you really disappear? But you were never born, you were never in existence. There would be no other reason for you to be there except for that reason. You know what I mean? So there's no way that the timeline would have been like, well, some other people had you as a kid, and then you were born this way, and then you and I wouldn't be there killing this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So it everything's all up to interpretation on how you believe
Ah.
time travel really works.
Okay. Because
Just,
I
I mean,
well, I
go ahead.
obviously I don't believe that.
Right,
What I believe is if I go back and kill my grandfather, that timeline no longer has a lamb, and the timeline I came from, lamb has been missing. The timeline I am in now, the one that I killed my grandfather, this is where lamb exists.
right. But I mean, think of it like this: if you went back in time, and I got to think of a good way to put this, but if you went
Oh,
back in time and you removed something very crucial from an invention, like even a bolt or something off of something, that piece of equipment would never have been invented because you took away its one crucial part. So you were never born. You had never been into existence. So it's hard to say that the timeline would skew a different way because you never would have existed without your grandfather. I know
right.
it's one of those deals. We can argue and you some people get upset about this stuff
Oh,
too.
I
Like, oh,
know.
well, it's got to be done this way. I'm very open, just like I told you about the one guy that said if you're in the DeLorean and you're going back in time and you want to go to 1955, who's to say that the Earth is going to be in the exact same spot
Oh,
that in that time?
yes.
So you open up the portal, you shoot through it, and now you're floating in space because the Earth's on the other side of the sun versus now.
That's some NASA stuff right there. So I what I like about Hot Tub Time Machine is they did it to the hot tub.
Right.
Kind of like the original movie, The Time Machine. The
Mm-hmm.
guy stayed put in that Santa sleigh, and this is the hot tub that they doing it, so they don't have to worry about the space and exact time and things like that. You're right.
Well,
Yep.
see, they went into the hot tub
Yep.
and they came out of the hot
The hot
tub,
tub.
so they were always in the same location.
Yeah, location. Yep.
And same thing with the time machine, because that you see the time passing around him. He basically isn't traveling through time; he's speeding up
He's
time.
speeding up time where he
Where
is.
the time in his bubble is relevant to him.
Yes.
So everything outside of him is going 100 miles a second
Yep.
or
And
100
however,
years.
this one, I guess it goes backwards. It went
Right.
backward. Yeah, the Russian drink,
Right.
the
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl, the nitratanium. I like when they make up words like this, like
Well, they called it Russian Red Bull.
Russian Red Bull. Yeah, like illegal, man. Like what's illegal about it? I don't know. Stuff they can't approve here. That is such
He's about to,
lazy writing at the same time.
but it's comedic writing, because when they're about
Yes,
to
it
pop the
is.
top on it, he's like Maria Navratilova, and I'm speaking Russian.
Yeah. It's kind of like, what's a scary movie when Anna Faris like, Honda, Toyota, Mitsubishi. It's like,
Yes, yes, yes.
you
No,
know,
one of the funny, in my mind, one of the funnier parts, the Craig Robinson guy did a great job in the whole movie, because he is absolutely funny.
oh
But when
yeah.
he makes that phone call to his 9-year-old
Oh,
wife, and she's got that look on her face like,
what's
and he's like, hang up the phone, Jerry.
this is to concern you.
That right there was that was awesome.
That was awesome because like I just can't stop thinking about it. It's like, did you just call your 9-year-old wife?
Exactly.
I like they do all this stuff right at the beginning after they agree, like, okay, we gotta do the same stuff so we don't mess
Right.
up the future. Like even
Right.
the guy, like he took the hit, like now I'm gonna get my butt kicked by 7 other guys, but I gotta do it because I can't mess up the future. And then his
Well,
friends are like, forget it.
but see, that's why when you talk about time travel, they knew what was supposed to happen.
Yeah,
They were like, okay, we have to do it exactly like this.
yeah, exactly like this. Yep.
But the one part that I like
Which actually
was
follows Back to the Future.
right,
Yep.
but like the part where he got stabbed in the eye, he missed that the first time.
Yep.
But that
It
was like,
still happened.
that's where they were saying destiny. This is how it happened. This is how it's gonna happen every single time. That's why he got stabbed in the eye anyway, even though she was breaking up with him.
That's why I talked to Shane about, like, it's the ripples in the water. They say time travel is like a river, right? Even if
Right.
you throw pebbles in it, it's not going to stop the water from, going through the current, anything. So
Right.
the fuck, even though John Cusack's character Adam didn't remember, like, how he remembered that he broke up with her.
Mhm.
But I think that kind of explains for me is because they went back in time that changed a little bit. So he still gets stabbed in the eye, but she broke up with him in this one.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
he already knew. He knew what had already happened. He knew that he broke up with her and he got stabbed in the eye. So he was like, "Man, I forgot how hot she looked," and he was
Yeah.
apprehensive. He was like, "I don't know if I want to break up with her." And then
See,
she broke up with him.
That's funny. I feel like that's like a 40-year-old version of us, right? You go back to your whatever girlfriend, like, man, I forgot how hot she was. What the hell
Right.
was I thinking? Because like everybody's thinking the same thing in the movie. It's like, why did you break up with her when you were like 20 or something? Like, what's the matter with you?
Right.
Oh, that was
Dang.
funny. I thought that was pretty good. I started off by thinking like, man, I hate this movie, but the more we talked about it, right, it's like I think I'll like it even more now. So now I'm talking to you. Shane had the same effect on me. Sometimes like, I don't know about this movie, but when we discuss stuff like this, they're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm okay. All the science can go away.
Well, I mean, honestly, if you look at it too deep, because I know you,
Yeah.
I know me. I notice things. I noticed imperfections. I notice when
Yeah.
somebody doesn't do something, the consistency of, like we've talked about the Terminator gun with the hammer pulled back in this scene, and then seconds later the hammer's forward. I noticed stuff like that.
Yeah, consistency.
So, but with this kind of stuff, you have to just blink and be like, okay, they traveled through time, and this is what happened.
So this is like a 2010 movie made with 80s rules.
Right.
Yeah. With updated
Yeah.
technology, with like phones and emails, because what is that kid's name? Is it Jacob? Clark
The
Duke,
younger one?
yeah, the younger
Clark
one, yeah,
Duck, yeah.
yeah, Clark Duke, yeah. He's the one like, hey, can I email you? Can I text you? Like, what is that?
Right.
The
Right.
girl's like, what is that stuff you're talking about? Yeah, we're like, oh my god, what is happening here?
Yeah, well, him and another the woman that was in there, one of the girls, Linda, I forgot her last name. They were both in Kick-Ass together. Which did
Oh
you like the
yes,
Kick-Ass movies?
I did. I love the
Yeah,
Kick-Ass movies.
those were really good movies too.
Yes, and of
But yeah,
course he
there's
was in an office too.
oh, was he?
Yeah, Cocktoot was in the office.
I guess I need to watch The Office because I've heard a lot of people say that it was extremely funny, but
Yeah,
it's hard for me to sit and watch series. I just have a
yeah.
hard time watching
Oh, I
series.
love it. It's funny.
Yeah,
That's the show that make you feel for the characters.
yeah,
There's another show that I like better than that. I like Dirty Rock because we know about production, right? So I got a lot of the inside jokes. But The Office, it makes you feel for the character. Like in Dirty Rock, it's like every episode is funny, but then you don't feel for like these characters as much as you do in The Office.
yeah.
Kind of like this one. Like which characters do you like the best?
Out of this movie,
Yeah, this movie.
you got to go with a little bit of Lou because he's
Mm.
the underdog, and then he comes out on top because
Yes.
he understands. But the John Cusack, it's one of those things. I mean, I would probably feel more towards the Lou character
Ah.
because that's what I would want to do. I'd want to go back because I've told you this. I would love to go back in time and just hand myself a letter at age 10
I was
and be
gonna
like,
ask you that.
yeah, read this letter, and then I would disappear. You would never see me again. And then now that's when I changed my timeline.
Hmm.
So my timeline from the 10-year-old me would be a completely different timeline. And I jokingly said this to you. I remember saying this to you. I go back in time. I hand my 10-year-old self the letter.
Yeah.
I then go out to the middle of the ocean, the deepest part, tie concrete to my ankles, and drop and kill myself. And people were like,
Oh.
"What? Why?" Because now my 10-year-old self would grow up to be, you know, rich or whatever it would be, and there would be no reason to carry on that other timeline because that wouldn't be. Now my present is with my 10-year-old self.
I wonder if those people has you right? They probably didn't think about. They probably thought in a way like Back to the Future too that Biff went back himself, and then when he went back to the future, like 2015, the one that we watch,
Mm-hmm.
he I don't know if he disappeared or maybe that should have changes that whole timeline if they did that. You know what I mean? When Biff came
Right.
back.
Well, if you watch the extended version of Back to the Future 2, when he comes back from 1955 after delivering the almanac, which is
Yeah.
right there behind you,
Yes.
when he gets that, the extended cut, they show him lean against the dumpster as he's having like a heart attack or something, and then he disappears.
Oh.
Yeah, he just completely disappears. But that's where you're like, okay, so you don't believe in the people disappearing. I believe that he wouldn't have disappeared then. He probably would have disappeared. He hands the book, he walks away from him. Once he walks away from me, he should have disappeared. He probably would have never been able to return the DeLorean back to 2015.
Well, actually, it's not the disappearing thing. I believe that he wouldn't be able to make it back at that time, the 2015 timeline. Because once he gave himself the book, right, it changes that time, and he would have never been able to give. Went back to the original movie that we saw. I think
Right.
they did that so that way Doc and Marty have that time machine again.
Right. Well, I mean, I just thought of what you just said and spin it off of that because when Marty and Doc came back from 2015 to go back to 85, everything was different. So when Biff
Yes,
handed him the book in 55, when he came back to 2015, everything would have been different.
everything should have been different. Yeah,
Right. And they also say that they think that the reason
should
he's
have.
grabbing he's grabbing his heart, like he looks like he's having a heart attack, but some of the stories said or suggested that Lorraine shot him sometime in 2015 and killed him. And
Oh,
that was the ripple effect of him dying.
oh, okay.
So I mean, there's so
That's so
many.
many things. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's time to. The only time travel movie that done it right so far is Avengers Endgame.
yeah.
So far, I mean, like obviously this is not one of the top tier movies. Where like, hey, they
No.
did this correctly.
But again, the writers of this movie, from what I understand, the writers of this wrote this over 20 years ago, and then they were just going to call it Hot Tub.
Oh, really?
And then John Cusack was like, "I'm on, I'll do it," And then they got on there and they're like, "Oh, let's call it Hot Tub Time Machine." And that's when Craig Robinson goes, he looks right at the camera. It's a hot tub time machine.
Oh, that's right. He breaks
Yeah.
the fourth wall.
Yes.
I thought that was awkward too. Hey, and we have to talk about Chevy Chase's character. He's
Yes.
basically the Doc Brown of this movie. in a way, because I think
Yes.
it's the old age.
Hmm.
He just pop out of nowhere, and then
Yeah.
he disappear out of nowhere. Like,
Well,
where does that
they
come from?
you also compare him to the Don Knotts character in Pleasantville. Did
Ooh,
you ever see
I
Pleasantville?
that's the one with Tobey Maguire, right? I don't think
And
I've seen
Reese
that movie.
Witherspoon.
Oh, I never seen that movie.
Yeah, it's not a time travel movie, but they get sucked into an old television show, a black and white TV
Yeah.
show, and Don Knotts is the TV repairman, so he goes in there and he's trying to get them back. And spoiler
Oh.
alert, Reese Witherspoon decides to stay, like Lou decides to stay, because she has a better life there. She's, more popular and everything like that. So it was a cute movie. I mean, they
Okay, you know
played
what?
brother and
I
sister.
think Shane told me that movie was pretty good.
Yeah, it's a decent
Pleasantville.
movie.
I mean, like
Yeah.
the ending of this, I did like that Lou stay back, right? Because he basically know what is going to happen. I feel like he did that for financial gain reasons.
Oh, absolutely. But the one thing that they got wrong, though, and a lot of people say, I've heard this talked about this movie, is Motley Crue was established in 82
Oh.
or 81, 81, 82. So this was in 86. And how did he start Motley Crue or call it Motley Lou
Yeah.
when, and then he started Lugal.
Lugo.
So yeah, Motley Crue was already established and already good to go. And maybe he stepped in as the lead singer. Who knows?
Oh,
They
maybe,
never,
yeah. Yeah, I
they
thought
never
maybe
really.
he stepped in as a lead singer and then the band broke up or something.
Yeah.
Just so dumb.
I just thought it was so funny because that was the song that he supposedly tried to kill himself when he wrecked his car in the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Home Sweet Home.
Did you know what? Since I haven't watched this movie in a long time, right? Did you think that he was trying to kill himself in the movie until he said it later?
No, 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 no. If you
Yeah.
if you watch it, he was just drunk
Yeah, he was just drunk. That's what I thought too. Yeah.
and he was using the gas pedal as his bass
Yeah,
drum as he
based on
was
yeah,
playing.
yeah. That's why I thought too. I was like, was he trying to kill himself? Like, yeah. And I did like the part like when his friends in the hospital, like, yeah, he got all this dead and he got all this too. He was listening the whole time.
Yeah.
I love dumb scenes like that.
Yes. I know. I like. He throws a pillow. I can hear you. But the one thing that I noticed too at the end of it was you remember who Kurt Cobain is, right?
Yes, I do. Yes, Nirvana.
Okay, if you when he's all drugged up, when John Cusack is all drugged up and really, you remember near the end after he got stabbed in the eye and he's all doing the drugs and the mushrooms, he's
Yes.
dressed just like Kurt Cobain was dressed.
Oh, no way.
Had him dressed in some of the photographies that were taken just I guess weeks or months before his death. I was like, wow, they had him dressed just like that.
Oh, you know what? He did dress different. I didn't notice that when he got
Yeah.
drunk and doing the eating the mushroom stuff. That's really cool.
I know they paid a lot of tribute to a lot of the
That stuff in the
older
80s,
stuff.
yeah.
Right.
I did like that. And I know I wrote here, I put that some dudes call him a fly. I put Johnny from Karate Kid. I don't know if you remember that part or not, but I wrote that anyway. So I have to
Oh
say
no,
it.
that when they're placing the bet on the football game,
Oh, yes!
Zabka goes, he looks at him and goes, "Okay, McFly, how do you
Yes!
know all the results?"
Yeah, because that's from
Yeah,
Back to the Future. Yeah, that's right,
yeah.
the almanac.
But there's also some scenes when they're having the fight at the end when they're fighting over the can. You hear the one kid in the background go, "Get him a body bag."
Yes!
That's and that's straight from Karate Kid.
Yes! You know what? I think this movie is not from the time. I mean, like time travel for me, but the '80s references, the pop culture
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep. I think that's why. I mean, the first time I watched it, I was like, it's a good movie. It's a good watch. I can't say it's a bad movie. The second time I watched it, I actually paid a little bit closer
Poker,
attention
yeah.
to it. And then this time I watched it. This is the third time I watched it. I paid very close attention. And you're right. There's a ton of 80s references and just I like the way that they put it all together.
Oh, I did too.
Take aside the time travel aspect, they did a good job.
Yeah, and I think like the reason why they have John Cusack, right? They had that serious moment when he talks to that girl that he meets at the concert about
Mhm.
the E. coli,
Right.
about the dad. That was a really good story. When
Mhm.
you didn't think it was gonna like his dad died because they were complaining, right? They want to go eat at this place, and then 33 people got E. coli, and then his dad died because of them. Like I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
It explains like why him and his sister are the way they are, because they probably blame themselves because they got their dad killed.
Right.
That was probably the most serious part of this movie.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure a lot of people miss that because like that's a lot of comedy overriding this part.
right.
Ugh.
But that's what she was saying, that just because that's not your fault, that is not
Yes.
your fault at all. So you can't blame yourself for something like that because, oh well, I wanted to go eat there,
Yeah.
and you can't. That's not your fault.
Yeah. That was really good. And
Yeah,
I forgot who's that girl that played her. She looks so familiar to me.
her name is Lizzy Caplan. She was in the only movie that I really remember her in. She was in Now You Can See Me Too, where they do the card tricks with.
I seen the first one, but not the second.
She wasn't in the first one. She was only in the second one. She replaced the girl in the second one.
Oh, she was in Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah,
Cloverfield. Hmm.
the only movie I remember her in is that Now You See Me Too.
I haven't seen Now You See Me Too, but I seen the first one.
Yeah.
Huh. I'm trying to look. 127 hours. I seen that, but I don't remember her in that movie. Wow. I guess she just looks familiar to me. Some other movie.
Yeah, she does. She looks like one of the I forgot what actor she looks like.
She looked
Um
like one of the girls from Two Broke Girls to me. I don't think that's her, but like I can't place it. You
yeah,
know?
to me when I first saw her, I thought she was related to like who Zoe Deschanel is?
Yes, her. Yes,
Yeah.
Zoe. That's what thought it was.
Yeah, I think because she has a sister too. The Zoe has a sister, and I think she was on that TV show Bones.
Oh, okay. I've never seen
'Cause,
Bones.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
I've
Yeah,
seen I've seen the show.
Zoe.
Yeah,
That's who that reminds me of. Yep. I do want to point out something though, because Lou was using all these advantage. I don't know how he makes his money. Maybe just through Fugo or Lugo.
Lugal.
Because once John Elway didn't make that touchdown pass, right, that should have changed everything then on. Like
Right,
that's the I guess the domino effect, right? About that's communism, but for time travel.
right. The butterfly effect is
The
what they.
butterfly effect, yes, that's what they keep calling it. Yes.
Yes. Well, the thing that I read is they said that that was the same squirrel that he threw up on at
Yes.
the
Oh,
hot tub.
I thought so too, because
Because
he
if you
wasn't.
look at
Yeah,
that squirrel, he's got something on his back.
yeah, on
It
his
looks
back
like
from the
huge.
throw.
They're like, that part was funny when the squirrel pops up. He's like, "No, man, that's a magic squirrel."
That was the connection I made too. Like that was the same squirrel.
Yes, and
Yeah,
that same scene where he's in the where Craig Robinson passes out when he's
yeah.
about to receive, and when he comes to and he's got all that soap on his face, and he's like, "Hey, man, what's up?" Dude, I laughed so hard. I laughed so hard because I thought that's something like I would do to one of my friends
Yes,
as a
it's
joke.
something that they would do. Like no man, you passed out. I did like the minor joke that they make when they open his pants. Like, oh my god, that's like Gary Coleman's fall, which is also popular in the '80s, right? I can't. What was that
Yes,
show? I can't remember what.
different strokes.
Different Strokes. Yes,
Yes,
yes, yeah. I
that
like
is
Gary Coleman's fall.
yeah, because he's like it's so black.
It's like, I didn't expect him to pass out though.
No,
Like, cause I
I
didn't
didn't expect
expect,
that
like,
either.
I didn't know how that was gonna go. Like, oh, I forgot he passed out. I did like Craig Robinson's character because he's so faithful, even though
Hmm.
he know that like, hey, you haven't met your wife yet, so it's not really cheating. You had to do the same thing, and he was crying the whole time. He was having sex in the
Yes,
tub. Like, oh my
and he's hollering out Courtney, and she's going, "Tara,
god,
my
Tara.
name is Tara."
And I'm like, hey, if you keep doing this, you're gonna mess it up because that's not the way it happened before. I do like those minor parts to when they tell his characters to like you gotta follow your dream, man. You got messed up because like you didn't stay with your music thing. They all believe in him, but then I guess life
Right.
happens. So
Yep.
that was pretty good. I did like that when he came back, Mr. Weber. Like he owns I guess like a music production studio.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Well, see, what was funny is at the very beginning of it, I don't know the actor's name, but when the guy takes his dog into him, and he's
Oh
like,
yes, that guy's
"You
on
want a
Reno
BMW?"
911. Yes.
Yes, he's Reno 911. The movie I remember him from too is We're the Millers, because he was like, "Hey, David Clark,"
Oh,
and he's like, and then
he's a
he's in
writer
the free
too.
weed. Huh?
That guy's a writer too. That actor.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I think he wrote the pacifier from Vin Diesel. So he
I
wrote
didn't
that,
know.
and obviously he's a writer for. I think he's on Reno 911. He plays was it Dungleberry? I can't remember his character's name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, he's funny, and
Oh, he's funny.
most movies he's in, he's funny. But
Yeah.
when he throws those keys at him and it's got the dog dookie all over it, I was like, oh, that is so nasty. He remembered him playing at that place.
Yes, he does. I like that little connection.
Yeah,
Yeah, he just asked, "What do you do now, man?" Like, I'm picking up stuff out of your dog's butt.
yeah. You want a BMW?
Oh, that's way gross and very funny.
Yes. Oh, and Clark Duke.
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
his
yeah.
last name? Duke.
The, yeah,
It
Duke.
was actually his idea. I guess they rewrote it in the script. It was his idea to make Lou his father.
Really?
Yeah.
For some reason, I didn't think that Lou was his father. Even though I only seen this once, right? I think this is only my second time watching. I was thinking like, Lou can't be his father, right? Because everyone is gonna guess that.
Yeah.
Did you think that was his father the whole time?
I honestly don't remember the first time I saw it.
But the
I
second time, like the newest time.
No, well, this time I already knew because I'd seen it before. But the very first time I saw it, I was like, I don't remember if I guessed it or if I
Yeah.
just was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it was that was pretty funny though because when he's doing his mom
Yeah.
and he says,
Adam's sister.
you son of a," and he dives at him, and when he knocks him off of him, he instantly disappears because
Yeah.
he didn't let him finish.
Yep, he didn't let him finish. Yep.
Let him finish.
He's
Go
like,
ahead.
I gotta do it.
And I forgot, and I don't know porn star names, but I know that I read one of the articles that when you hear Lou screaming, dropping loads. There used to be a porn star back in the 80s, I think, that used to say that. He used to say that
Really?
and that's where he was.
Oh, I had no idea.
Just some of the, like I said, whoever the writers were that I know it's a collaboration of a bunch of people. Just let's put this in there. Let's put that in there. Get him a body bag, from the Karate Kid. Let's put all this stuff in there. So
Oh, I think that's
like,
it's probably guys like us that we know, like, oh, we should be funny because we remember this stuff,
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just something like Dance for Your Corporation. That's from RoboCop. Things like that we add in there. Oh,
No, and I know you started with the Chevy Chase thing. I liked his character in this movie. It was when that guy he kept calling Clark Duke. He was like, "Listen, little lady, listen, miss." He kept calling him a little girl.
yeah.
I thought that was funny.
I know such a jerk. Cause is it referencing the hair or is it just the way that his character looks?
Probably the way his character looks, especially in the '80s, But I don't
Oh
know.
yes.
He's the time traveling dude, so
And you know what? One of the most I love about this, the '80s reference, they reference Red Dawn.
yeah, a lot.
That was a lot because like these are commies, man. Look at this. What is this
Mhm.
string? It's in Russian. It was
Yep.
awesome.
All the way down to the Chevy that they leave in, the blue stepside Chevy pickup
Yes.
that was in Red
Oh,
Dawn.
that was awesome. Because like
Yeah.
I only seen Red Dawn because me and Shane did the movie review. I can't remember how long ago now. That was the first time I seen it.
Was it the original one or
The
the
original
remake?
one. I haven't
Oh,
seen
the
the
original.
remake yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the remake and it's actually pretty good. It's got is it Chris Hemsworth or
Yeah,
Liam
Chris.
Hemsworth?
Chris.
Hemsworth.
Yep.
Because I know that Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey, something happened. I don't think it's been published. Something happened between them two in that movie, and they almost didn't do Dirty Dancing because of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they were like, yeah, the chemistry between them two during Dirty Dancing. So they think that something happened between them. Maybe a little sexual tension happened on Red Dawn,
Oh.
and they didn't want to continue on. But when they auditioned for Dirty Dancing, she was like perfect for the role. They already had, and his name was Johnny. They already had Johnny, which was there's another Johnny,
That's another Johnny.
Johnny Castle. But yeah,
Oh, interesting.
some good little facts.
Yeah, because when they mentioned Red Dawn, I'm like, yeah, I guess it ties in so well with that Russian drink.
Yep.
And like, how many did they have? They have at least two. One's to go back in time, and one's to go back where they came from.
It was their plutonium.
Plutonium. The plutonium from Russia.
Right. But I was watching Back to the Future as well, and there's like the way I look at things. I know time travel just drives.
Well, you know what? We talk about this as this is one timeline. We don't have to go to the branching off and stuff. We just work with one consistency. Because
Right.
that's what they did in here and what they did with Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, like if I, I have a hard time with certain things, like if I was to go back in time and change something that would affect me today, wouldn't it already be changed today?
Hmm. And then that's why people like me argues that.
Well, that's again, it's hard to tell.
Yeah,
I
it's hard
mean,
to tell.
because
Or
I
maybe,
haven't.
well, the other side, if I'm fighting for this, right, is because you haven't done that part to happen. It's supposed to be happening exactly at 9:45 p.m. So I
Right.
wouldn't agree with like shouldn't it have happened yet? It has to happen because the time is not there yet.
Right.
You know, kind of like
Well,
wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Like shouldn't I
mhm,
wake up already? Like, but it's not 7 a.m. yet. It's just the same thing thought process.
right. Well, like Bill and Ted, when the one that always gets me the most, and I know this is it's still a time travel movie, is when they're like, "Hey,
Me and
dude,
Shane just did that recently. Then,
oh,
dude,
did you?"
that movie is all over the
That
place.
movie's all over the place. When they're like, "Hey, dude, get a tape recorder and put it over there and play
Yes,
this message," and then, but at the end of it, they're like, "Don't forget to go do that."
yes.
So that's one of the consistencies they did because they were like, "Oh, well, I have to go back in time and make sure I put that tape recorder
Yep.
there, or this will never happen."
And I love that they never do any of that. Kind of like Back to the Future, they showed him doing all of that, right? But Bill and Ted is like, hey, just remember doing this, and then it just happens.
Right. Then you can talk about it. Yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying. If I was to know, let's say I knew I was going into the past tomorrow, and I was going to go and find a stack of cash. I don't know, and I knew it was going to happen tomorrow. There'd be a stack of cash sitting right here already.
I want to say, this hurts my brain so much.
I know that's what I say. I've I've thought
It's like,
about time travel a lot, but
oh, I like to think about time travel a lot too. But then sometimes when I think about it a lot, that's when all the branching thing happens. So like, I
right,
believe that I will never get back to go my own timeline. If I leave that, my Heather and all my kids would be left alone because I would never be able to go back where I come from unless I get with Iron Man to get that time travel GPS.
yes, yes. But see now, if you went back in time
Okay.
and changed something about yourself, whatever it may be, let's say let's say at age 15 you invented Google, and you were a multimillionaire.
Or I get a loan to get stocks on Google. That
Yeah,
would be
something
easier to do. Yeah.
something that's going to make you let's say by the age, what age were you when you met Heather?
32.
Okay, so you're a millionaire,
Okay.
millions and millions of dollars at age 20.
Okay.
Would you have ever met Heather?
Probably not.
Okay, so no kids.
But then
So
no kiss with Heather though.
no kids with Heather,
Mm-hmm.
but that whole that's where I believe that the timelines would skew. If I
Oh,
was to
okay.
go if I was to go back in time and give myself this letter,
That's
let's
when.
let's just
Yeah.
well let's just take aside my present me. Let's forget about that person. But my present me went back, handed that letter to myself, and now I'm no longer relevant. My 10-year-old self would grow up. I wouldn't, and I was rich. I wouldn't meet the same people. I wouldn't date the same people. I wouldn't have had the same experiences. I wouldn't have my son. There's a lot of things that would be totally different. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you
Right.
because I probably wouldn't have ever met you because I
Yep.
would have never worked where we
At
worked
Lowe's. Yep.
together.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that timeline would skew off and go a different direction, but only for me.
Oh. Oh. That's okay. Not only for you, right? Because you and I never met. That would change some stuff in my life, Cody's life, Shane's life, like
But you would never know it.
Joseph. No, we would never know it. No.
Okay, it's like this. Here's my other argument. If I went back into this is similar to the grandfather effect, but I would have to be conscious of two different timelines. If I went back in time and let's say I saved President Lincoln's life, I knocked the gun out of his hand and I threw him off the balcony before he could shoot President Lincoln. And then I boom, and I'm right back here. I'm sitting in the same spot. Would you ever know that I saved his life, or would you ever even know that there was an assassination attempt on his life?
Yes, because the history book would say like, hey, someone got there in time to stop the assassination.
But would they teach that? What if that was never? What if I grabbed John Wilkes Booth outside and I shot and killed him
Oh,
and dragged his body off?
Oh, you would now. You're right. If it happens that way, then no. I thought you mean like everybody knew that you did somebody did a heroic thing, but
Right.
the way
Nobody.
that you just put it, no.
Okay, yeah, I did say it different, but
Yeah.
yeah, those kind of things you would never know. But what I know,
Oh yes.
because I was taught about President Lincoln's assassination in school, so
It doesn't change your memory.
right, it shouldn't change my memory, but according to facts, if again you listen to things, I would have never been taught that in school. So it's just hard to say that your brain could actually make sure you remember all that, even though you've lived it.
But
So I would like to believe that you would remember it because
oh,
it's all in your brain.
you would remember it because when you whatever age that you did it, right? You still had that education until that point. When
Right.
you go back, you still like, hey, that's why you knew like, hey, John Wilkes Booth's supposed to kill Lincoln, but I'm going to take him outside to the hall or back out and kick his ass or something or beat him up. And now we misses that time. And then when you come back, maybe Lincoln is still alive. That's timeline that I am. Then you came to a timeline that the history is different.
Right.
The way that you explained that would have explained when, like Back to the Future 2, Biff, he would have never gone back to the same timeline as Spotty and Doc.
Right.
The way that you did that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody understands something differently because you always started another timeline. As soon as you hey, come on here, John, I'm going to kick your ass. And then that's when it's like, actually, some people believe as soon as you go back to that Lincoln time, you already changed the future for that timeline.
I think it depends on if you've messed with anything, like the whole Back to the Future deal.
Well, when you say mess with anything, right? You being there is already messing with something. That's what
That's
some
true.
people believe too.
Right, but I mean, if I did, like what other movie was it? Like Time Cop, all those movies.
I don't remember
You
that
know?
movie, but I remember
Huh?
that it's not being. I don't remember Time Cop. I seen it like at least only twice. I want to say the
Yes.
first time and second time is like I don't think I understand this movie.
There were a lot of,
I need to
like,
rewatch it at my age where I understand a little bit more.
yeah, like same matter can't occupy the same space. So
I
two Erics or two Lambs can't be next to each other because we're the same matter in the same time and space. And
don't know how much that would be true though, because I don't understand how the matter works.
right, and again, that movie may be spot on.
It
Maybe
might be, yeah.
maybe I am the same matter twice, but I don't know.
Yep.
All I know is that time travel is one. I love the discussion about time travel.
I
I
do
think
too.
it's awesome because
You can
it's one
never
of
be
those things,
right and you can never be wrong.
right?
It's just
Unless you,
theories.
all of it's just theories, and there are some people, like I've seen it on TV. Oh, there time travel is possible, and I'm like, well,
Well, time
until
travel is
somebody,
only possible moving forward. We're time
right?
traveling right now.
Exactly. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, time travel is one of my favorite topics. So I'm glad I actually talk about Hot Tub Time Machine with you, where we knock out time travel and comedy at the same
Yes,
time.
exactly. Well, yeah, and all in all, it was a good comedy too. I mean, there were some very good funny parts to it as
Yep.
well that would really make you go, "Holy cow!" But the '80s, anything with the '80s, because I grew up in the '80s, so
Yeah,
all
see?
that stuff, I loved it. So
Yep. Well,
I think it was a
for
good
me,
movie.
just like a lot of movies, like I told Shane, like before I came to this country, my cousins, watch a lot of action movie, right? So I like Stallone and who's the other guy? Schwarzenegger a lot.
Oh
Even though
yeah,
I love Schwarzenegger more than Stallone. I can't remember his name. Like a
yeah.
lot of these like RoboCop movies, like a lot of these rated R movies, right? I was able to see at a young age
Mm-hmm.
when I should not.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, because I think a lot of like culture, right? Like what did you guys find rated R or is not rated R in my culture when I was watching it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh no,
'Cause-
we actually we had conversations about over in China and Japan and all that. I mean, they've got nudity on regular TV,
yes. Well,
and it's
not in
like,
China, but like Europe and things like that. Yeah.
right. Well, I
They
mean,
see
they're a little bit
differently.
more open with their stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, if you don't have better control over your kids to be sitting here watching this stuff, and here it was, I was trying to get a legal cable, like Dim was trying to do on American Pie.
It's really funny that me and my sister, right? Because my parents don't speak English. So when we moved to Texas, in Plano, when we have our own house, probably 92, 93. And you know, cable salespeople, right? Or you would travel to home. Me and my sister got like Showtime, HBO, because we were able to talk my mother into it. She doesn't know about HBO. She doesn't know about the red light district at Showtime at 9 p.m. So me and her were like,
Showtime after dark.
yes, like me and her were watching a lot of HBO movies. Like, whoa, none of this stuff is censored. It's just awesome.
Yes.
And I was like 13. My sister is like 8 or 10. Watching rated all content.
That explains a lot about you now. I understand.
It does, huh?
Another show we need to talk about time travel.
Yeah.
Family Guy. Brian and Stewie travel through time all the time, man.
Really? That's the Halloween episode. I told Shane to watch that. It's a Halloween episode. Like they make fun of the fact that like, you know, Homer goes back in time, right? He go back to like 65 Marines ago, and with dinosaurs. There's one part where he doesn't touch anything, right? He slapped a fly by accident. He go back to his own time, and then it was raining donuts. But before it was raining donuts, he had to go back and fix.
Yes.
Because
No,
like
you're talking about The Simpsons though.
yeah, but I don't think I've seen the Family Guy one, but just one
Yeah.
episode.
There's several episodes, but there's one of them where they keep going back, and I'll find the episode and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, let me know. I'm gonna try to watch it.
I mean, they keep going back to the same. Something to do with Brian that he buries a ball somewhere and he keeps having to dig it up, and then there's like 500 or 600 of them standing there. So they're like,
really?
oh, we got to figure out how we messed up the timeline. Yeah.
Oh, and the other one that I know about time travel, you know, I watched this thing called Red vs. Blue. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I've heard it.
The Halo, right? There's a season, like season 3 or 4 of that show. They got into time travel, and then one's watching is like, oh, these guys actually got it semi-correct. You know, it depends on what you believe, right? Mm-hmm. And then they did the version of, I haven't seen this yet. I can't remember what movie you have. Every time you go back in the past, try to fix something, you come back, right? You leave a copy of yourself in that timeline. Because if you think about it, they did this in Back to the Future too. Morty went back in 1955 again. There's another him already there. So let's just say the second Marty messes up, right? And the third Marty had to go back to 1955 to try to fix the second one who was trying to fix the first one. There would be 3 Martys there.
Right.
They kind of talk about that in Endgame too. Like, hey, you gotta be careful not to run into our other self. That's why they had to divide. Like, if the Hulk was here, you know, Bruce Banner had to go to this place so that way they don't bump into each other. But they never talk about the time cop thing where the same matter can occupy the same space.
Right. Well, I mean, if you think about going back to the Avengers, they had the Hulk at that one. Well, that was there were 2. I forgot his name. Tony Starks. There were 2 Tony Starks there. That one. Yeah. He's when Ant-Man went inside him and pulled.
Oh yeah.
Tony Stark was over there, and he's like, "A paramedic."
Yeah.
So, no. Yes. And then even more so with the time travel. Did you see the movie The One with Jet Li?
Yeah, that's a multiverse thing, isn't it?
That's a multiverse thing. Yes, not time travel.
Oh, I remember because you said about that movie before, and I had to rewatch it after you mentioned it like 20 years ago, maybe now.
Right.
I did like it and not like it at the same time. I like the idea of, where were you going with that? The one before I said.
No, just that's instead of time travel. You know, you got the multiverse where there's
multiple versions of you.
100 of me.
Yeah.
And you know, it's kind of makes you think that those days where you feel like, man, I feel really good today. I feel really, really energetic, and I feel. Have you ever felt that?
Yes.
It's like, did one of my other multiverse selves die, and I got that power?
So I was gonna tell you, like, that was the only thing I like. One of the things I love about The One, like, because when they write that, you don't know if that's true or not.
Right.
Right. I love that you came up with a perfect example. Like, oh, I feel really good today. I got more energetic. Like, maybe one of my multiverse me died.
Exactly. Now there's only 49 of me left.
I really like the science of that. Like, so one guy decided to kill all his other multiverse, so that way he's a stronger one.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you remember the story that I wrote, the one that I called The Dagger.
Yes, I do.
Okay, if you watch that one kind of messes with the paradox. I tried to keep it as real as simple. I see time travel. So like when and I know we're running on time, but
it's fine.
When the main character goes back and he does what he does and he leaves the time travel machine there. He actually dies there, and that's how that time travel piece got where they found it. 10,000 years later.
Yep. Because they
So it's like,
were there.
yeah. So it's like, how did this? I love them. I love those movies that end like, oh, that's how that got there. You know, because it's pretty interesting. I like that. The dagger was stuck in the wall, and they found it. They discovered it, and then at the end of it, the professor is the one who stuck it back in the wall
The bad
right
guy,
before he
yes.
got killed. And then he's been erased from existence. He's nowhere to be found now.
Oh. Oh.
So did he?
Erasing people out of existence with time travel. Oh.
But he erased himself.
Yeah, man. So the dagger is something that Eric wrote a long time ago now, like probably more than 20 years ago.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
been a
like
long time.
and when I was working at Lowe's, when you were no longer working there, I was pitching this idea with Shane, right? That I thought about for a long time. Like it goes to the line of like, hey, you used the grandfather thing. What if I just go back in the past and kill myself? Like the past self. What
Hmm.
would have happened then? But then you would think that I would disappear, right? That's instead of calling grandfather, why don't I just do the job myself instead
Right,
of messing with my relatives? That's the dilemma, right? So my time travel movie was like this detective, right? He somehow find like a way. He doesn't time travel himself. Like he's forced into time travel because Shane told me a long time ago, like there's these myths out there. Sometimes like people are driving 1975 highway, right? And a guy would came out of nowhere, like a
right,
black hole would appear, like he's a Viking from the 1600s. So in that idea, I'm thinking like so people can spontaneously time travel without their will wanting to.
right,
So I thought about this movie like the detective, right? What he does is he solved this murder, whatever, and he spontaneously time travel back in the time where he's in the middle of solving this crime. So the new timeline of the detective is trying to figure out like who's trying to leave me these clues. So in a way, I want to write it to where like someone is always a step ahead of him, but you don't know it's himself.
right. It's
But then
always him.
it's always
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Yeah. But that's
And
something like that is too much thought process into mind. I'm like, how am I going to end this? I thought about how to start it, but I just have to figure out how to end it.
right, yeah. Makes you think of that. What show was that? Memento,
Oh, yes.
where he's writing all the stuff on his arms
The
and
tattoo
trying to
thing.
remember stuff. Yep.
But that's not really time travel, but it's
Oh, that's
the
a
movie
memory thing.
yeah, memory thing that plays backwards. That's
Yeah,
a really good movie. And
yeah.
like a lot of people call it memento
Memento,
instead of memento, right? Memento. Because it's MEM. I always question that.
memento.
Memento, yeah. Instead of
Yeah.
momento. But you know what? That's
What?
not my language, so I don't know.
Hey, it's okay. It's not mine either.
It's not my first language. It goes back to if I ever tell you the story, like a whole bunch of us, like when we are in our 20s, like me, Cody, Daniel, Rachel, Manuel, go eat somewhere, right? And I think we were eating Chinese food. So they were asking us like, hey, who used chopsticks better? So this is what I said. Cody. So in which Cody replied like, why? Because I'm older? I don't
Why?
know. I don't know.
You don't know why you said it?
No, that was exactly the reason why I said because Cody's older.
Oh, just because Cody's
Cody was older, and then I think that's the reason why he
he's
used
been using
chopsticks.
chopsticks longer.
He just used the
Exactly.
chopstick a year longer. That's all I'm basing this on. We don't
It's
have
chopstick experience.
we don't have a test. We never test like, hey, who used chopsticks better? Who cares? Just shut up and eat.
Right.
It's kind of like if you and Shane, like, if I ask a question about you and Shane, like, hey, who uses the fork better? Who cares?
Who cares? Well, see, that's the thing. Did your parents have to show you how to use the chopsticks?
I can't remember. I believe so. If it's we never use those like helper things. Like you either learn to do it or you're not eating.
Right. See, us round eye folk, we just it's like here's a fork. You stab it and you stick it in your mouth. There's no teaching. These damn Westerners.
Want me to tell you a funny story? Sometimes I keep extra chopsticks in my car, right? I go to Hooters, I go to a wing place, I would bust the chopsticks out so I don't get my hands dirty.
Jeez.
Well, I thought it was brilliant because like I have kids, right? But then like sometimes like I'm eating wings and like they mess up. Like now I gotta wipe my fingers off just to help you clean up, and I want to get
Right.
away from that.
Oh, don't, man. I guess I'm Americanized because if I go to like Buffalo, not Buffalo Wild Wings,
But any wing
Wingstop or something
place,
like
yeah.
that, I use a fork. I'm always
Oh, you just use yeah,
because I've made the mistake before. Is I like the hot buffalo sauce. I made my steak, I'm picking them up and eating them,
yeah,
and I wipe my hands off, and my hands look clean.
yeah.
But then I'll do this. I'll go.
Oh, that oil is still on there. Yes.
I've done it one time, and I've only done it once, and that little bit of oil was right there, and it's in my eye now, and I'm inside. I'm screaming like a little girl,
Ah, my eyes are burning. What
but I'm
happened?
like, I got to go to the bathroom real quick, and then all of a sudden you hear,
can, can you help me? I can't see.
and that stuff is hot. And I this isn't the time and place, but there's another story I could tell you with a jalapeno that didn't end well, but it wasn't for me; it was for someone else. It was really bad.
A lot of the times that me and Shane talk, right, we were talking about food, and I don't know what happened. It happened the same way. Suddenly we're talking about food.
Right? We go from hot tub time machine to food.
to eating with chopsticks.
Well, okay. I know we're way off subject here, but
It's okay. We always are. I try to
why
bring us
is
back.
it that white people feel like when they're eating Chinese food they have to use chopsticks?
Oh, I don't know.
Dude, I don't get it. I walk into a Chinese restaurant and I look at it, I look around and I'm like, okay, if I see Asians or people who typically use chopsticks, not sounding stereotypical, but hey, you guys use chopsticks more than I do. And I see if I see you guys eating with chopsticks, I'm like, okay, that looks okay.
Right.
Look around and I see four white people sitting here and they're acting like they're professional Asians.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
Professional Asians.
They have a degree in chopstickery. So they start going and I'm like, use a fork. You're American,
You use
Not
whatever
trying to
you use to be comfortable with eating.
Right. I'm sorry, but I've got teriyaki chicken in front of me. I'm going to use a fork. That's just me.
There's only one thing that I know that like I only use chopsticks to eat. Anything I could use a fork on, It's like we make this soup dumpling where the dumpling's inside the soup is inside the dumpling, right? If you poke at it with a fork, all the soup leaks out. So what I would do is like I would probably scoop it with a fork and then not puncture any holes in it. But then it's using chopsticks is easier because the whole thing is contained.
Right. And you just make a little bridge for it.
Yeah, exactly. To the bridge in my mouth. Yep.
But see, like
you could use anything you want. If you let me, I use hands for everything. Get the chopsticks and forks away.
See, I just feel like I can eat with chopsticks. I can. Not rice. I'm not even going to attempt rice. Give me a fork, give me a spoon, give me something.
I would like to use a spoon.
Yeah, but
something to scoop it.
I've seen Asian folks, and they get how y'all do it.
I do it too.
They get balls of rice and they go. They can finish a bowl, and I'm like,
I can too. I can finish it clean, like no rice left over with just chopsticks. Yep.
And see, I can clean it a lot faster with a spoon.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe there should be some kind of contest on YouTube. Like, hey, who can finish this bowl of rice the fastest? Lane with chopsticks or Eric with a spoon?
East versus West.
Because, like, I don't know. Do they have contests for dumb stuff like this?
Oh man, they got contests for all kinds of stuff. It's probably out there somewhere. Because I've had a lot of crazy, stupid ideas that I'm like, that is funny. A song came on my my playlist the other day, just randomized music. Kenny Rogers, The Gambler.
Ah, yes.
Okay, and he said a line in the movie or in the song, and he goes, and I thought Kenny Rogers was a time traveler. Because he said, and this song came out a long time ago. He goes, and if you're gonna play the Game Boy, you gotta learn to play it right. And I was like, how did they know he was gonna make a Game Boy? And I thought that was funny. And I was like, that would be so funny. Kenny Rogers is a time traveler for Nintendo. And if you search that on Google,
this is why this commas are important. If you're gonna play the game, comma, boy. This is when people are reading too much into stuff.
Right, but if you Google what I just said, people have already made memes about it. I mean, it's
Oh,
been better.
really?
Other people have picked it up. I'm like, I
Let me
guess
look at that.
yeah,
Kenny Rogers Game Boy. I gotta look this up right now. I was like, Kenny Rogers holding a Game Boy.
yeah.
Let me check out the memes. Oh, this meme is awesome. If you're gonna play the Game Boy, you gotta learn to play it right. It's just, is that Kenny Rogers holding a, like, was it a Grammy? He's holding a Game Boy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's really good.
I hear all kinds of stuff like that, and I think that I started when I first heard that, I was like, I can't believe he knew about the Game Boy. I thought it was funny.
Maybe Nintendo likes Kenny Rogers, and they're just like, let's just call it the Game Boy.
Right.
You gotta play it right. All the correct words are there.
Let's market it. I'm Kenny Rogers, and this is
This is Jackass. I still remember that skit from. Sometimes I still watch it. Just so
I do too. It's so funny when they're doing the dairy challenge.
It's just like, I guess whoever finishes first wins. We haven't really worked that part out yet.
You got eggnog in my goat milk.
Now I want to put a link in our video.
Gotta put a link in there. Yeah, that wasn't Saturday Night Live. That
no,
was
it was Mad TV. It's
Mad
Will
TV.
Sasso, yeah.
Will Sasso doing Kenny Rogers Jackass. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Yes. Now let's go back to the movie.
Oh yeah, so sorry. I knew we always get off topic.
So did you like the way that they the ending for this one? Everybody get monetized financially for the end for all these characters.
Yeah, I mean, because that's like I said, if I was in the Lou character,
you would do.
That's
the same
what
thing.
I would do. If let's say it played out exactly that way, I would go back and I would invest. I would buy. I would do whatever I could, and then it'd be one of those things like he's rich now. He knew those kids in the 80s, so he'd probably still know them now. So if I went back to that time, I probably wouldn't know you because that was before we met. So if I went back to a time where you and I knew each other, and then all of a sudden I came back and I'm filthy rich, I could be like, hey, if I walked up to you on the street and go, hey man, we knew each other in another time, here's $10 million. You'd be like, crazy cracker? I'll take the money, but this cracker crazy. But no, I like the way that they ended it because the mother and father got together, even though they still hated each other.
And like, Adam somehow found that girl that looks like Zoe to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
He got with her. Yep.
Yeah. Somehow they stayed in contact. They never explained.
They never explained that. Yeah.
Unless Lou had something to do with it.
Yep.
Because
but it's hard to say. Yeah.
Right. So and then the Weber guy with his Craig Robinson with his music career.
Yep.
He kind of did that on his own, but I bet Lou financed him along the way.
Oh, that sounds good too. Yeah, to connect those dots.
Right.
Yep.
So I mean, there's a lot of cool facts and a lot of things that I think everybody. If I was to say to you, all right, you have a time machine, you can go back to your present one time. What would you do?
Probably make myself rich financially. That's like one of the dreams, right?
Right. Just, I mean, it's almost like having a genie with one wish.
Yeah.
But
then I don't know if I could say this. Like, well, I could say it, but like, wouldn't it be funny? You go back in time, right? You don't do anything for yourself, but you start messing up with other people's lives. Like,
that'd be fun too.
That would be fun. I'm just walking in the street and I'm just pushing this guy off the street so that way he can't hit my car. Like, let's see how this gonna pan out.
Yeah, you could really. Yeah, you'll be in jail in the past for murdering people.
Well, unless I make it look like an accident. Oh, I trip and I fall in front of this guy.
Be like, hey,
but that could be time
in jail with us, and we're showing him only to be 2 years old. On his fingerprints. So,
what's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Just based on that line alone, right? We could probably write a really trippy time travel movie. Because, like, if I go back and commit a crime, let's just say I go back to yesterday. When they try to trap me, then, like, I have an alibi. Let's just say, like, because today I had soccer games, like, all day, right? Whole bunch of people see me. If I commit a crime during that time, that would be trippy. Because let's just say, like, the cameras are seeing me or whatever, right? But then, at the same time, the alibi is like, dude, hundreds of people saw me today.
Right.
Or, like, where would that go? Like, now is there a way to prove time travel? Because let's just say you see yourself, right? Do you believe in time travel? If you see, like, hey, I'm from the future, from yourself, like, what would take that would convince you? But what if I came to you from just like next week, come back to you like, hey, Eric, I'm Lamb from next week. How would I convince you that I'm from the future?
And you would have to, I don't know, you'd have to answer something that I know that you didn't know.
So like, how'd
So
you
if
do
I,
homework?
right. So if I ever showed up on your front door naked going, what year is it?
Why are you showing up like Kyle Reese? I had you reference the Terminator.
Exactly.
Travel naked.
It's
Yeah, like, how would you convince another person that you're from the future successfully? Instead of thinking like, oh, this guy's crazy.
well, they already do because there's been, and I wish I'd have brought up the information if knew we were going to talk about this. There was a guy that supposedly could travel through time, and he went back. He supposedly went back to, I want to say, the '70s, the early '70s,
Okay.
and and I may be getting two stories confused, but he supposedly came from way in the future, came back to the '70s, hung out with his parents, and he had to get into a computer system to fix the Y2K bug before it came around.
Oh.
Look, yeah, you got to look that up and then they don't know what happened to the guy. He just disappeared. And then there was another guy that, from what I understand, he was trying to build his own time machine out of his garage or his workshop, not like a DeLorean, just like a machine, kind of like the Time Machine movie. And one day, everything in his shop was gone, just like that. They said it was gone. Somebody somewhere was doing some research of the past, way in the past. They said that they found a guy, and I want to say they found him dead on the beach in California that fit this guy's description 40 years in the past.
Whoa.
So he had either made the time machine, went back in time, and died in the process, but dropped himself on the beach, or maybe dropped himself like we were talking about the Earth spinning. Maybe he dropped himself in the ocean and didn't know it.
That's a really good.
And maybe his time machine's at the bottom of the ocean and he floated up the shore.
This is the beginning of Time Cop.
There you go. There's your movie right there, right?
Wow. Yeah, I thought things like that would be trippy if I go back and like just a day yesterday and commit a crime. That would be really trippy. Like, hey, you can't hold me here. I had an alibi.
Right.
Whoa.
Look at all these soccer moms with their video cameras. There I am. There
Look
I am.
Look at all these kids that I talked to today. Oh, that time you said I committed this crime, which I didn't, and I did.
Right. Well, your fingerprints are everywhere. Well,
and like, what is that?
I was cloned.
It's cloned. I'm from the future. I'm a clone baby. That's the other stupid Will Sasso thing.
Will Sasso as Terminator.
Oh, just Arnold.
Yes.
And all his movies combined. I love that one too.
Stolen Identity 3.
Stolen Identity 3. Because sequel makes so much more lots of money.
Oh, I need to go back and watch those too. Those made me laugh.
I think sometimes that one is harder to find than the Kenny Rogers Jackass.
Oh yeah,
because it's copyrighted and then Fox never released it for sale, so that they trying to close it. Like I think YouTube trying to shut that stuff down when they caught certain words. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you burned all that for me on a disc one time and labeled it.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah. No, you labeled it dumb videos, and I still have that video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I still have it.
It'd be easy if you pick that and probably upload it to YouTube, but you probably get blocked anyway.
Yeah.
Like just that video, not your profile.
Right.
Yep. So we both agree that it ended great with the financial success thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Everybody liked it because that's what happened to for Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Like, cause you want a happy ending, right? You don't want to go back to the same, crappy lifestyle that you see them in the beginning.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think the ending was good. I think that they put the cherry on top, gave it the happy ending that everybody wanted, that everybody would want if it was their life.
Their life. They wanted to make it better, a second chance to change it.
Right.
It's always about that question of, hey, if you go back and change something about your life, right? What would it be? It'd be like, oh, all those crappy decisions I made that didn't whatever. Yeah.
Right. And you can fix everything, but that's why we live.
Yep.
But I mean, the movie, all in all, I think budget of 37 million, it made 64 million dollars worldwide.
Oh yeah, it did. It
So
almost doubled. I mean, it
yeah,
was good enough for a sequel.
yeah, I didn't do much. I heard
I
the
haven't
thing
watched
that
the
I saw in
sequel.
the sequel. I haven't seen the sequel either, but they said John Cusack, he dipped out. I don't think he was in it.
Yeah, he was not in it. It's another guy named Adam something, right? I can't remember. But Hot Tub
Yeah,
Time Machine too.
but
It also
they said
came out
that
5 years later,
yeah,
like 2015.
yeah. There's certain movies that you need to leave alone, like
Like this one,
leave alone. Yeah, it was good for a one timer. That was it.
Adam. Yeah.
So
He's supposed to be the son of John Cusack's character.
oh yeah,
Huh. John Cusack
no, I
appears
never.
in an uncredited cameo in unrated home video release of the film. Huh, interesting.
Hmm,
Box office failure. Yep.
yeah.
So good thing they didn't.
Well, there were talks about a Hot Tub Time Machine 3, but it's like
Really?
straight to video.
Oh, it's
Straight to
one of those,
streaming.
right? Yeah, like
Yeah,
American Pie sequels.
yeah. Oh yeah, all those are terrible.
Yes. I mean, the good ones, obviously, they put on the big screen.
Of course.
But I guess the spin-offs, the ones that,
Yeah.
go
Now the
to straight to
American
video.
Pie, like American Pie, the second one, and I think the third one they were all okay, but then
Yes.
they went kind of stupid.
I think the second one was good because that was the year of the good sequels. I think Rush Hour 2 came out. That was a good sequel. American Pie 2 came out. That was a good sequel. And something else. That was the year where the sequels were good.
Really.
Shanghai Nights probably came out too, yeah. Like now I'm getting to the age where like I don't remember when movies came out. And unless it happened in the 80s. Like, hey, 1987 RoboCop. 1984 Terminator, 1992 the Terminator 2, but then I can't remember anything else.
Yeah. See, I don't remember years like that. I remember that Back to the Futures came out in the 80s. I know it was
80,
like
yeah,
85.
85.
So, but I don't remember I know that about that because
1990, 91, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like, your favorite movies, like, I think The Prestige came out in 2005, and Fight Club came out in 1999. That's my favorite movie of all time so far still.
Fight Club is off.
Yeah, Fight Club.
Quoted a line to my son the other day, and because he was talking about buying things, and I said, "Things you own will eventually own you."
Oh, I love it. Brad Pitt in the bar, yes.
Yes.
You know what a duvet is?
It's
Yes.
sad that we know that.
Yes, it is sad that we know that. And with that one, I will end it right here, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in for this episode of Tensai Review. If you like what you heard, give us a thumbs up. Follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you on the next one.